and learning a new platform.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spirit Walk.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Gentry.
Welcome to our channel, our very first live stream, which we've been super excited about all week.
So excited about.
And bear with us while I check and make sure all this platform, because we're learning where the comments are coming in and how and the way it's all working out.
Mm-hmm.
So bear with me. If I'm staring into oblivion, that's what I'm looking at. Welcome. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. So excited. Hopefully our speaker's doing good because we didn't have time to check that than what our video was on our page yesterday.
Yep.
I'm hoping that it's coming through fine and it's not giving off a whole bunch of verbiage. So
Yep. If you can hear us well or not at all, if you can hear us, let us know. If you can see us, let us know. If there's something needs adjusting, if we're talking too loud into the microphone,
or if we
let
lean
us
into
know.
it to talk to it, because we really don't need to do that.
Yeah, learns that.
So, or if we're not loud enough, also let us know.
Oh my gosh, I do love that necklace on you.
I know,
So
it's a great
wonderful.
necklace. I love this necklace.
Wait, it's catching the light.
Yep, all sparklies.
I love the sparklies. I went with the butterflies today.
I love butterflies.
Too. Can't beat it.
You really can't.
Although it's not butterfly season.
It is not. It is fall time.
So I'm going to repeat myself. I'm going to say it anyway. So welcome to Spirit Walk, where we're going to talk about all the things that you may or may not encounter on a spiritual journey and what we can do about those things. We're going to share all of this wonderful plethora of knowledge about energy, about our experiences. It's going to be amazing.
Learn a lot of great terminology. You probably heard a lot of the terminology and the meaning behind it and what it means and what it does. We're here to help people along with that as well, because trust me, that helped me a lot in my own personal experience where I was feeling and dealing with things and I didn't know what it was. And then I found out that there's this whole platform of all this verbiage. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. A lot of it learned through yours truly, Amanda.
So many great words.
So many different perceptions and ways of looking at things. And yeah. It's kind of my story with Amanda is kind of how I got here. So
Do tell.
So basically, lifetime cut short in half. You know, I've always been deep into spiritual stuff and what it means and putting my empathy out there and trying to learn what empathy is, trying to control my empathy. But I just got to a point where I just felt lost with everything. I wasn't looking at my life the way I wanted to. I wasn't living my life the way I wanted it to. Things were not turning around the way that I wanted it to. And then I wasn't dealing with all the empathy that I was carrying around and how to control that and how to change the frequencies. I didn't even know that was a thing, really. I knew that we all had frequency, we all had vibration, but I didn't realize that I put up all these walls and I cut myself off of different things that if my brain couldn't figure out how to figure it out, I just cut it off. Like, oh, I'm going to put that over there. Oh, I'm going to put that over there. And eventually I got to a point where there was too much stuff, just not being dealt with, not really working through all of my trauma experiences. And I thought I was dealing with them because I was like, oh, I dealt with that, I'm putting that aside. And then eventually I was like, okay, all of this stuff is coming off of me. This isn't who I am. This isn't who I've ever been. And I know who I am, but yet I'm not getting the responses back for who I am. And I'm like, why is that? And it's because I wasn't dealing with all the things. I thought I was dealing with it. And really I was just boxing it up, put a label on it, and putting it on a shelf. And then I found myself going through basically a victim mentality where I used my trauma and everything I went through as excuses for going through the life I was allowing myself to go through. And I got to a point where I was done with it. And fortunately, I had somebody like Amanda who was in my life. And we actually started a totally different business together. Had nothing to do with spirits, had nothing to do with any of that stuff. And Amanda brought me to a space in my life where everything just started opening up and it started making sense. And then a lot of things started happening to me once I started opening up those boxes and really looking at what was inside of them and what was creating all of these things. And Amanda was able to come in and start showing me different things. We started having a lot of long conversations. She got to see sides of me that I was blocked up so much she didn't even.
It was all autopilot.
Yeah, it was. I was on auto. I was on autopilot going through life. Like I'm just gonna let the things happen and go where they need to go. And
I felt like I was on autopilot that whole time too.
And
because
so,
I was just like, oh, this is what I talk about, and it just it didn't occur to me that it was anything different or weird.
Then it hit me. And I started dealing with all the stuff. And I started dealing with empathy on a completely different level. And things were affecting me. Things were getting harder. And I was like, Amanda, why are all these things getting harder? And it's like, because you still got to deal with them. Like, you still have to exert that. You still have to go through the motions of that. And then I started having a lot more experiences and more detailed, more life-changing spiritual experiences happening around me because I ended up opening it up and I ended up realizing what those were and not being scared anymore and letting those things happen instead of trying to find a way of pushing them aside. And I started living in my existence. And then through that, I was like, oh, I have a much bigger purpose than all the things that I've been working so hard for than just, minute things along the way. This is my purpose. I'm sitting in this position right now because this is my purpose, and this is my person. So if anybody was ever doubting, Amanda is my person. So, and that's a brief, but I'm sure you guys are probably get a lot more experiences out of me as we go through our talk show.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. I love the snippets and some of the things that just didn't. I always forget because it's always ends up on the back burner that. When we were in a network marketing business together, I always forget it, even though it was like literally one of the ways that I got to know you as a person. It's always something that just like gets lost under all of the other things in life. And I was like, oh yeah. And that's been a couple years now.
It's been a few years now,
which is really funny because then I'm like, man, I feel like so much life has been packed into this year.
Oh yeah.
That I'm like. No, we've known each other for like 30 years. We've known each other most of our life.
Our whole lives. I'd be like, no, we just lived in the same town and didn't know each other. Like,
I know, we'll figure that.
Yeah, go figure that too. Like, actually
having the same friends.
Having some of the same friends, and we never met each other, not once. So,
reason and divine timing for everything.
There is.
I remember the day that we had that conversation about talking about why is everything getting harder? It's supposed to get easier. And I remember that day.
She laughed at me.
I did. And I was like, I couldn't believe that I didn't say anything. I was like, oh yeah, it's supposed to get harder. Like it always gets harder. It always gets harder. It tells you you're making progress. And then there's the breakthrough. And it's like, yeah, you're coming to the breakthrough. And you did right after that.
I did. I've been through multiple of them. And let me tell you, the breakthrough, it's always worth it because I've never felt more powerful. I've never felt more closer to enlightenment or more on track of where I need to be going in my life than I do right now. Like, I can't even imagine not going through all those experiences and where I would be in this moment in time in the universe. Like, I don't know if I'd make it, you guys. So congratulations to everybody who's made it this far without having any guidance through what we're going through as collectively on the earth even, So I don't even want to say in the universe, but we'll get into that in later talk shows. Today we're going to talk about awakening
and how we ended up here on this spiritual walk, man. I think that was great. Oh, I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Like, that's really honoring, humbling to me, like, to help anybody, but I like you specifically because the way that we're interconnected in our lives, like, is huge. So thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me.
You're so welcome. Thank you for coming into my life.
Yes.
I'm not looking at the baggage and saying I ain't dealing with that. So she's gonna have to get help from somebody else because that is a lot of stuff. Because it probably really is. It was it's even overwhelming to me to look at all boxes that I still have to check off. And then not only that, another thing that people get really upset about is that sometimes you have to pull that same box back out and deal with the box all over again, because we learn them in different ways in different times, and we get over it, and then you have a breakthrough, and then you get to go through it all over again. And every time you do, though, it gets easier to deal with it the next time until you don't have to deal with it anymore.
Exactly. And it will end. Like, I always want to say that for people. Like, yes, you will have to do it again. Everybody expects they're going to go through something the first time. It's going to go away and they won't have to deal with it again. That is true. But 9 times out of 10, it takes more than one time. Like, it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 times, depending on what's going on in life. Like, I know for me, like what I'm going through just even in this last month, I know that I have been attempting and dealing with my patterns. This has to be at least the 4th or 5th time in the last 10 years since I've been on my experience with it. And I'm like, man, it's still there. Like, now I'm addressing it on a totally different level, and I'm feeling it way viscerally in a whole new way, which is part of how you know you make progress. You're like, oh, I dealt with this before. Now that I'm dealing with it today, it feels different than I've dealt with it in the past. Also a great sign. Ascension is happening. Vibrations are being raised. Anytime the vibration comes up, we got to dig deeper to go find the roots, to pull out the roots, which is what you and I help people with.
Yeah, we do. We help people with that. Workshops. We help
pull it out
through
of the
our
roots.
Workshops. Yep.
And that's hard work.
It is. It is hard work
for the people going through the walk.
Oh yeah.
That are like, well, I've heard it all the time. Oh, that can't be the root of where that's coming from. And then we unpack it, and it's like, here's the roadmap. That's how that happens.
Direction it's going in. And that feeling you're feeling right now goes back to this.
Yes.
And then we have to find those pieces for them and help them see that, because if you can't see it, it's hard to deal with it. And so we have to slowly help people open themselves up to be able to feel those lines, or somebody trickier where they already see those lines but they don't want to deal with it, or people who have strong abilities, because we work with other healers, people who have a lot of aptitude of doing some of the work that we do. So, and they just kind of bottle it all up and they put it away. And they're like, nope, I don't want to open that ever again. And it's like, then you're going to stay stagnant. Like, if you don't want to stay where you're at. You got to look at the boxes.
Nope, which I love. So that's what we do. We specialize in energy therapies through classes. Like right now, our primary focus is through classes and workshops, which if you want to check any of that out, it's all on Facebook and the Awakened Mind LLC Facebook page, where we post our events and what we're doing, what's going on. You can check those out at any time. We're both, as she was telling you before, she's empathic and intuitive. We both have the ability to perceive energy through multiple dimensional frequencies, through multiple dimensions of energy, to help people connect those dots. I feel like working in the mental, emotional bodies is a huge factor of getting to the root of issues, and then showing people how to manage energy to pour light and raise everything up in a positive way, all from the heart. All through the heart center. And that's really when I started my spiritual journey, was over 10 years ago, and it was because I dealt with massive chronic depressions that just lingered forever, just because I didn't know what was going on with me. I always thought I was crazy. I was like, I'm crazy. Nothing that I see is happening. Nothing that I'm experiencing could possibly be true. I'm just insane. And like trying to stifle my intuitive voice. I call it my God voice. I call it my centering voice, my God voice, that would move and help guide my life. And I was always like, that's not a real thing. Like, what is going on here? This isn't real. And you just can't stifle that type of power, that type of love, that type of guidance. And it led me down to massive amounts of depression, where I just really couldn't function until I literally just got to a place where I had to surrender. I just had to give up, because I was just in such a dark emotional place that I just laid it all out. I was like, all right, I'm not going to fight this anymore. Whatever I see. Whatever I hear. I'm not going to keep it to myself, because I wouldn't say anything. And that's what led me down my spiritual path and my spiritual work of seeing who I was and what I was and the things that I could do, and led me to this place and Michigan again, because I was here. Now I'm back. Long, crazy, insane stories. But here I am. And I'm so grateful. And I'm grateful to you for being here with me. And I'm grateful to all of you out there. And I'm so happy to just being able to be, sit here and share these stories and share these experiences and ideas with you guys. Maybe some of it will resonate with you and you can be like, oh, I totally feel other people's energy. I'm not insane. Or, that beautiful, divine, loving, angelic voice that just like pipes in at every moment of my day when I need it is real. And you can listen to it and it doesn't have to be scary.
It doesn't have to be scary.
However it looks.
Even some of the stuff that looks scary. If you're seeing that stuff, there's a reason. There's a reason why you're able to see that stuff. And there is a way to help you with that instead of bottling up or cutting off your vision from seeing that, because that might be part of your purpose here.
Right. Yeah.
And we want to help you discover what that is as well. Or if you're just dealing with too much emotional stuff, or you're dealing with,
weird stuff, the strange, unusual,
really weird, strange stuff, or you see like patterns and cycles and you don't understand. I know that some of our people that come to us, their patterns and cycles have a lot to do with relationships.
Yeah.
They're like, why do I keep on finding this type of person over and over again? And why does this type of person are the only ones that are interested in me?
Right.
Usually it stems from within.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we help go in, dig those out, and let you see that and be able to feel that so you can raise that, get out of that vibration and raise into a different vibration so that you can echo out something different, and people who respond to that will come to you.
Yep.
And then the people who no longer do are going to walk away. They're going to look at you and be like, there's nothing there for me. And then you're going to be able to deflect these people in your life that don't need to be there.
Right.
That sounds simple, but it's not. It takes a lot of work to be able to do that.
It does. Because I think, I feel like for all, especially this year, like with COVID and with the lockdowns and with all the new mandates and things happening, everybody wants to connect with whoever they can now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, we've been isolated and we've been alone and everybody wants connection.
And contact.
And I think that has a lot to do with the relationship waves.
Not to feel alone or a lot of it's to not feel alone. And honestly, since I started doing the work, I'm okay with being alone. Like, please, just leave me alone.
I wish I was more alone. I wish things in my house were quieter. Like, no, I'm good. Seriously, don't knock on the door. Don't want to hear a voice.
No, I'm good with this book and my hot tub.
Right.
And my sprays.
Right.
And my meditations. Or a scary movie that I might want to watch right now. I'm okay with that. I don't need,
Yeah. I haven't watched a scary movie in ages. Totally. My brain just tripped.
I just thought about that too. I don't ever get time to do that. Mostly because I've been reading this book. But we're not going to talk about that because we talk a lot about this book.
We do.
Love this author, but
it's all her fault. She got me addicted to a book. I haven't been addicted to a book in ages. So thoroughly.
I'm so proud of you, though. You read really fast.
It disappeared. I'm not sleeping much. And that's the truth of that. Like, I should put it down while it's 10 o'clock. Oh, a couple more hours. Well, it's midnight. Oh, man, but there's just one more spot. 2 o'clock in the morning. Did I fall asleep? Damn it. I gotta reread that part. That's been me lately, y'all. It's terrible, but also great at the same time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Madame.
To kind of teabagging myself in the face.
I just did that. What kind of tea are we drinking?
It's regular tea. It's green tea,
Green tea.
I promise.
So if y'all need tea, you better get it now. We'll share the experience.
Oh.
I need that. I'm gonna be laughing for a second.
I'm gonna be watching this one over and over again.
I love it so much.
So, but let's talk about that. What does it mean to be awakened?
Oh,
What does it mean?
No,
I was gonna,
let's talk about.
We're gonna pivot away from that conversation.
I loved the spirit walk though. It was right along with the I was thinking horror movies and Halloween coming up and the thinning of the veil.
Yeah, I knew what direction she was going in. See how I diverted that?
She did.
We could do all of that too. We could speak about a lot of those things. We have so many different subjects of different things to talk about that are relevant, that are real, that people don't know what to do with. And then when you put all of the things together in one big giant pile, you look at all of them, it's a lot. So
I love it.
But because we're talking to people about their spiritual journeys and their spirit walk, your soul walk, or whatever you want to call it, what happens after you have an awakening moment?
Oh,
And you really want to start changing these things inside of you. You really want to start dealing with all of those boxes. You really want to heal.
Right.
And you really want to make your life exceptional because we only have a short time to be here. And a lot of people want to find their purpose. What is my purpose? What is my purpose for being here?
Mm-hmm.
And we find that through awakening experiences.
Right.
Nonetheless, if it's, grand scale of so many different things we can be in this world. There's so many different things. And finding what that is for you it's important. It's important to everybody to figure out what that is. So,
and everybody's walk is different, and everybody's at a different mile marker in the road. You know?
Pretty much. Can you grab our box over there, Bob?
Just call me mom.
Ma'am. I called you ma'am.
What do we have in our box? Anything?
We do. I want to find.
We're gonna pull a quick.
This one.
Oh yeah. Like this is our note card box. At some point, we're going to do something nifty with it, like pull random topics or games. But today
it just has our topics in it that we want to talk about first. And we're still like going back first. What did we talk about first? No, let's talk about this first. And I'm like, we're going to talk about awakening and what that means.
It goes right along with the spiritual walk.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when I was like mulling around in my brain, like the terminology, like spiritual walk, and where we talk about the energy aspect of it, right? Being intuitive, being awakening, being multidimensional, and like coming into that realization that we are multidimensional, and its association with spirituality. And I think it's really interesting because in my mind, I always want to disassociate spirituality with the energy work or the energy healing or the intuitive parts of the brain, because I like the science aspect of it. I like the medical aspect of it, because all of that's a different part of the brain that's operating when we're utilizing different modalities of perception. And I love all of that part about it. And it's interesting because here in America, we associate anything weird like that, anything energy, anything with the consciousness or the energy healing or empathy or having the sixth sense, we bring God into it, or we bring spirituality or religion into it right off the bat. And I keep mulling it over in my brain. Like, energy does not equal spirituality. It can if you want it to, but it's not mutually exclusive either. And I wanted to get that out because I feel like most of us are on that spiritual journey of finding where we want to go and why we're here, which will naturally lead us to, I guess, for lack of a better terminology, like look skyward, like look up and reach out and seek something of that nature, which has amazing benefits also because it opens your mind in a whole new way. And I associate that as well with different awakening of perception and ascension also. So spirituality and the logic and the medical and all of the things. And I love that science is getting to that place where it can measure. Where it's measuring the fields of energy, and not just energy, but plants. Yeah. Like, that's a real thing. That has
like
a living signature.
Wish I could give shout outs to some people. I'll have to ask permission later on. But, I know a particular person who is learned how to tap into plants and trees and pick up their vibrations, and it sounds magical. It sounds like music, and that is a real thing. And that's going to be the kind of stuff that's going to change people's perception on energy and our energy bodies. And and knowing that it's a real thing, that we're really affected by that. We know that hugging people affects us because we're not just it's not just a physical thing, it's also an energy thing.
Absolutely. All of the things in the world are energy. From this beautiful, dead, dense cup to any living, breathing thing, including the plants, the animals, the people.
And in
electricity.
And because we are humans, we are connected to that naturally. Yes. Naturally, we're connected to all that. Every single one of us can tap into the energy of the earth. And that's important to know too, that through your spirit, your own spirit, soul walker, whatever you want to call it.
It's there and it's available. Awakening. So the business that we run, Awakened Mind, there are multiple levels of awakening. I always describe awakening as the point in time, whether in your journey or your experience, where you shift into a new perspective of being, and a part of your mind lights up and wakes up in a way that it wasn't lit up before to experience something new. I also see people interchange awakening and enlightenment as to be one and the same, which they're not. Enlightenment is not the same as awakening. We have multiple levels of awakening, and I think people kind of stick the word enlightenment in there as one of those, oh, I'm enlightened to this or that. Now, you can have an enlightening experience where it makes you feel good, and it makes you feel lighter, which does not represent enlightenment on a spiritual walk. When we're talking about spirituality, we're talking about ascension. And you can have multiple layers of awakening. I cannot count the number of times that I've had awakening in my experiences.
Oh yeah, I have an awakening.
They're constant.
Awakening moments sometimes when I go deep into meditation. You know, and that's kind of the whole point of meditating, is to have those awakened experiences, to open different pieces of your brain, to gain more clarity about yourself and the energies and things around you. You know, so that's a continuous thing through your spiritual walk that you should be gaining, is the awakening experiences. That's what you're looking for.
When I hear people use the statement, I am awakened, that can mean so many things. Like, what are you awakened to? What is the door that has finally propped itself open 24/7, channeling that awakened state?
And that frequency and that vibration, because there's multitude of them.
Right.
So if you want to claim that you've awakened, make sure you know what that is.
Right.
What are you awakened? What did you awaken inside of you? And we help people discover what that is too, because a lot of people do have awakened experiences and they can't explain it. They don't have words for it. They don't even know what frequency or vibration it is, because they might only have a couple of them instead of multiple, or they've already had multiples of them and they were utilizing them and never put the dots together.
Right. It's a beautiful
Which that one's fun too, to help people be like, nope, you already do that. And they look at you and they're like, what? I'm like, you already do that. You just haven't looked at it from that perspective, that this is what you're doing when this is happening around you, or this is what you're doing when you're doing that, or this is what you're seeing when this is happening to you. And sometimes it's not even things that are happening to you, it's what's happening to other people.
Right.
So it's not you know, so and that's great too. And then I do believe that all of us have something a little bit different, because we are uniquely ourselves. Our soul body is unique. It has its own encoding. I just share some encoding with Amanda, and Amanda shares some encoding with me, and then we have things that are different. That we both don't contain. And putting them together it is magic. It is beautiful. Everybody is magical that way. And we're gonna help you find that.
I love it. Awakening, obviously this is from my perspective, what I've seen, awakening is what leads you to ascension and ascending.
Yes.
And you have an awakened moment. That means that the energy is going up, the frequency is going up, the perspective is shift, and then we start to ascend the ladder of energy, of frequency, and it goes up and up and up. I like to look at it on this kind of scale.
So people do this scale,
where you're down here in the mud, and then you just want to ascend out of the mud. And that's literally all ascension is, especially when using the terms for spiritual walks. When we talk about ascension, we're talking about the raising of a frequency or an energy or vibration from its current state to one that is much higher. I feel like I use that word a lot when I'm dealing with interdimensional work, which is anytime I'm doing work, I'm dealing with interdimensional work. And that frequency, we have to ascend our, physical, mental, emotional frequencies. We have to ascend it to be able to get to those places. And that's a thing in and of itself. And it's a great thing to strive for.
It really is.
But awakening moments can lead you to having those. Once something wakes up, it shoots energy out and it gets really high. It's an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love all of that.
Me too. Let's see.
Awakening. Probably going to talk about the energy of awakening in the brain in our upcoming class for energy basics, like I mentioned earlier on. Go check that out. It is a prerequisite to the other class that we're doing about the energy of relationships, where we're going to talk in depth about relationship energy and whether it's spousal, whether it's parent, child, cousin, brother, best friend, whatever. We're going to go in depth on the energy of relationships, what affects them, and how you can raise them up in energy and frequency. And that is November 21st, but it's a Saturday. The energy basics is a prerequisite. So if you're interested in either of those two, you can go check that out.
And it's online or it's in person, but the in person is limited. We're limiting that space to 10 people, and that is it. That is all we can hold into our space comfortably.
Yep. Online is limitless.
Online is going to be limitless.
We will be streaming on a separate platform than this. If you are interested in getting on the live stream, then you'll have to message us through Awaken Mind Facebook page so we can give you the link for that stream as well. Both of them are available. And we have a free event, Tea and Tarot, which will be coming up on November 20th.
Yep.
Day before, November 20th, Tea and Tarot, Friday night. Again, we limit those.
We do limit those.
Because of the space. And I do believe we are going to live stream that as well.
Yes.
Same thing. Yeah. Same things apply. So
you gotta let us know so we can send you a link, because we don't leave those ones out there for people to go back and view.
Those are all temporary as they're happening.
And we are doing on our Facebook page, if you'd like what we do. We also do tea time. We drink tea all the time. It's always tea time.
I am so
I feel like
excited
Tim the Two-Man Taylor. It's always tea time. Tea time.
Oh, yes. That's going to be amazing too. And that we're going to try and do that weekly as well, if that's something that's interesting to you. But if you're interested in any of the stuff we talked about today or any of the topics that are coming up, we're going to be here every Thursday. Time is going to vary until we figure out our kids' school schedules and work schedules. But every Thursday we will be here for you with our tea and with our little nuggets of experiences and wisdom and all of that fun stuff. Talk about some how-tos and whatnots and what-fors. It's going to be amazing. So if you liked any of this, please give this video a thumbs up. Please share it with your friends. We'd love to see you all back here next week.
All right. Have a great one.
Bye.